Today we are doing Srimad Bhagawatam Canto. This is the status. And chapter 6, the creation of the universal form, in verse 30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Mukhato Vartata Brahma. Mukhato Vartata Brahma. Purushasya Kuru Dvaha. Purushasya Kuru Dvaha. Yas Tunmukha Tvad Varnanam. Yas Tunmukha Tvad Varnanam. Mukho Bud Brahmano Guruho. Mukho Bud Brahmano Guru. Mukhato Vartata Brahma. Purushasya Kuru Dvaha. Yastun Mukha Tvad Varnana. Mukho Bud Brahmano Guruho. Mukhato Vartata Brahma. Purushasya Kuru Dvaha. Yastun Mukha Tvad Varnanam. Mukhyo Bud Brahmano Guruho. Mukhato Vartata Brahma. Purushasya Kuru Dvaha. Yastun Mukha Tvad Varnanam. Mukhyo Bud Brahmano Guruho. Others? Mukhato Vartata Brahma. Purushasya Kuru Dvaha. Yastun Mukha Tvad Varnanam. Mukho Bud Brahmano Guruho. Mukhato Vartata Brahma. Purushasya Kuru Dvaha. Yastu Mukha Tvad Varnanam. Mukhyo Bud Brahmano Guruho. Mukhato Vartata Brahma. Purushasya Kuru Dvaha. Yastun Mukha Tvad Varnanam. Mukho Bud Brahmano Guruho. Mukhata, from the mouth. Avartata, generated. Brahma, the Vedic wisdom. Purushasya, of the virāt Purusha, the gigantic universal form. Kuru udvaha, O chief of the Kuru dynasty. Yah, who are. Tu, due to. Unmukhatvat, inclined. Tu, varnanam, of the orders of society. Mukhya, the chief. Abhut, so became. Brahmana, called the Brahmins. Guru, the recognized teacher or spiritual master. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O chief of the Kuru dynasty, the Vedic wisdom became manifested from the mouth of the virāt, the universal form. Those who are inclined to this Vedic knowledge are called brahmanas, and they are the natural teachers and spiritual masters of all the orders of society. Repeat after me. O chief of the Kuru dynasty, the Vedic wisdom became manifested from the mouth of the virāt, the universal form. Those who are inclined to this Vedic knowledge are called brahmanas, and they are the natural teachers and spiritual masters of all the orders of society. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Purport. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4.13, the four orders of human society developed with the order of the body of the gigantic form. The bodily divisions are the mouth, arms, waist, and legs. Those who are situated on the mouth are called the brahmanas. Those who are situated on the arms are called the kshatriyas. Those who are situated on the waist are called the vaishyas, and those who are situated on the legs are called the sudras. Everyone is situated in the body of the Supreme in his gigantic Vishwarupa form. In terms of the four orders, therefore, no caste is to be considered degraded because of being situated on a particular part of the body. In our own bodies, we do not show any actual difference on our treatment towards the hands or legs. Each and every part of the body is important, although the mouth is the most important of the bodily parts. We know this because by putting nutritious prasad in our mouths, the whole body is nourished. But it also requires a hand to get it to the mouth. I mean, I guess you could just do it like we do in chaturmas and just eat like this, but still, all the bodily parts, that's the one beautiful thing that Prabhupada has taught us. It's devi ashram. So whatever you do, if you offer the results to Krishna, there's an equality because you're giving up the fruits of whatever your action is, whether you're, Prabhupada said, a sincere street sweeper is better than a charlatan meditator. So if you're doing something that's even just a labor for Krishna, this is just the highest thing you could possibly be doing because it's even beyond brahmana. It's offering everything to Krishna. So this is Daivi Varn Ashram, where it's the Uttama Adhikari conception of equality in service of Krishna. Because what's the most important thing is the constitutional position of the soul as servant of Krishna. That's Vaishnava. So beyond all the castes and beyond Brahman is Vaishnava. If other parts are cut off from the body, a man can continue his life, but if the mouth is cut off, one cannot live. Therefore, this most important part of the body of the Lord is called the sitting place of the brahmanas, who are inclined to the Vedic wisdom. One who is not inclined to the Vedic wisdom but to mundane affairs cannot be called a brahmana, even if he is born of a Brahmin family or father. To have a Brahmana father does not qualify one as a Brahmin. The main qualification of a Brahmin is to be inclined to the Vedic wisdom. The Vedas are situated on the mouth of the Lord, and therefore anyone who is inclined to the Vedic wisdom is certainly situated on the mouth of the Lord, and he is Brahmin. This reminds me of Jibya at Radhakund, the tongue of Govardhan. Just to see the tongue of Govardhan, there is a particular pastime where they were excavating Radhakund. They were cleaning out all the muds and everything like that, and they hit a stone and the stone bled. And that evening, who was it that had the dream that it was the tongue of Govardhan? And so they installed him in a temple there right next to Radhakund. So there's even the tongue of Govardhan, Jibya's tongue. So that is my favorite little deity, actually, right there at Radhakund. Everyone from any part of, and from any family or from any part of the world may become inclined to the Vedic wisdom, and that will qualify him as a real Brahmana. So Prabhupada, he made devotees from all corners of the planet. That's why he named his movement International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He didn't name it Indian Society for God Consciousness. He named it the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And even some of his devotees suggested to make it God. And he said, no, I want everybody to hear the name Krishna. So and when he was giving the talk at Jagannath Puri and saying that Jagannath means Lord of the universe, and that means his devotees are all over the universe, and they're coming to see him. He's not Arisanath, he's not Purinath, he's Jagannath. So they're coming from everywhere, all colors and all cultures are worshiping Jagannath. And so Prabhupada is saying, this is, if we're inclined towards Vedic wisdom, then that will qualify anybody to be a real Brahmin. A real Brahmin is the natural teacher or spiritual master. Unless one has Vedic knowledge, one cannot become a spiritual master. The perfect knowledge of the Vedas is to know the Lord, the personality of Godhead, and that is the end of Vedic knowledge, or Vedanta. The sunam bonum, the be-all and end-all, is to know Krishna. And that is a 24/7 endeavor, because we can never know Krishna completely. There's always more and more to know about him. If Ananta Shesha has millions of heads, and he's speaking some different glory of Krishna out of each and every one of his mouths, and he's never exhausting the glories of the Lord, then we have a lot to catch up on. We're not quite to the point of knowing everything about Krishna. Even Mother Yashoda, when she looked in the Lord's mouth and saw the universes, the cosmos, the planetary systems, she was astounded for that split second, and then she went back into the Yogamaya of seeing him as her son, who needed to be chastised for eating dirt. So Srila Prabhupada continues in the purport, one who is situated in the impersonal Brahman and has no information of the Supreme Personality of Godhead may become a Brahmana, but he cannot become a spiritual master. Why? Why is that? Because he's not seeing all the aspects of the divine. He's concentrating only on that Brahmajyoti aspect, the bright light or the halo of Krishna, the Sat. But what about the Chit and what about the Ananda aspects? What about Paramatma in the heart of each person? And what about Bhagawan Sri Krishna, who's having his beautiful pastimes somewhere and in Golok right now, and in every temple? So an impersonalist isn't recognizing these other aspects of the Lord. He's not recognizing. His goal is Brahman. He wants to merge into the bright light, so he can't become a spiritual master. It is said in the Padma Purana, Sat karmo nipuno vipro mantra tantra visharadaha Vaishnavo guru nahasyad Vaishnava swapacho guruhu. An impersonalist can become a qualified brahmana, but he cannot become a spiritual master unless and until he is promoted to the stage of a Vaishnava, or a devotee of the personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya, the great authority of Vedic wisdom in the modern age, stated, Kiba vipra kiba nyasi sudra kena naya ye Krishna tattva veda se guru haya. A person may be a brahmana or a shudra or a sannyasi, but if he happens to be well versed in the science of Krishna, then he is fit to become a spiritual master. And this is in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 18:128. I'm probably going to finish class very early today. The qualification then of a spiritual master is not to be a qualified brahmana, but to be well versed in the science of Krishna. Like Prabhupada, he appreciated little Saraswati, who was 2 years old. He said, she is an excellent preacher. And why? She used to go up to someone, tug on their kurta and say, do you know? Do you know? And they would say, what? And she said, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And just like Maruti, I mean, we just instantly listen to whatever they have to say. Their innocence speaks volumes. So why is it so great? Because they're well versed in the science of Krishna. They, by all accounts, could be considered uneducated. But what are they in reality? Their life is steeped in Krishna consciousness. One who is conversant with Vedic wisdom is a brahmana, and only a brahmana who is a pure Vaishnava and knows all the intricacies of the science of Krishna can become a spiritual master. And even Srila Prabhupada, when Brahmananda was saying, Srila Prabhupada, you are Tri Kalagya, you know past, present, and future. He said, no, I know only what Krishna wants me to know. So it was totally humble. Whatever Krishna wants me to know, and he also said in his prayer to Krishna, make me dance, make me dance, make me dance. So he completely, 100% surrendered to the will of the Lord. Whatever is the will of Krishna, we're willing to go along with the will, happily, joyfully, along with Krishna's will. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, in regard to this particular verse, he said that this describes the manifestation of the Varnas, the Vedas. Brahma appeared from the mouth of the universal form, called the Purusha, because of identity with the Lord by the worshipper. The Brahmanas, who, because of being favorable to the Vedas, became the chief of the castes, the guru of the castes, also appeared from the mouth. So this is preaching, this Vaksiddhi. Prabhupada had this Vaksiddhi. Whatever Srila Prabhupada said came true. We were on a train heading to Kumbh Mela, and Govindadasi remembered 10 years prior that Prabhupada had told her that he would take her to this one specific Kumbh Mela that was the most auspicious in 144 years. And there we were with no plan and she was remembering, oh, Srila Prabhupada told me he would, and here we are, we're going with Srila Prabhupada. And so Srila Prabhupada, there's been so many times, like Abhiram when he was discussing the making of the TOVP, Prabhupada came and he said he just automatically spoke different dimensions and the way that it should be done. And actually, it was completely Vedically accurate and totally perfect for each and every situation. So whatever he spoke, he had that siddhi, his mouth to Krishna's ears. Whatever he spoke will come true. So basically what I thought about when thinking of this verse and how it was really more about the spiritual master. And so I thought I wanted to really concentrate on the meaning of Guru Vastakam, the prayers that we say every morning. And we don't do the translation like we do with Shikshashtakam. We're able to meditate on the translation. So I thought today we would take a moment to look at each verse in Guru Vastakam to try to understand a little bit more about these morning prayers. So we all sing every morning, Samsara Davan Nalalita Loka, Shanaya Karon, Ya Gana Ganatwam, Praptasya Kalyana, Gunarnavasya, Vande Guru Sri Charanara Vindam. And the meaning is the spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it. So the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is an ocean of auspicious qualities. So I was looking up on the internet all of these like forest fires with rain. And apparently in the Amazon, a lot of times, because it's rainforest, but a lot of times it goes into fire because part of the whole process is that, like the Serengeti meadows, and they burn down almost every year. And by the ash, it regenerates. But the forest fire, that forest fire can be put out by torrents of rain. And spiritual masters like that. Last year, I think it was for months in fall, California was on fire. My son sent me videos of the skyline. It was like burning up, and there was so much pollution and smog and everything, or fog, or whatever the fire smoke was causing a lot of respiratory problems. So, and California is known to be dry, so there was very little. They were trying so hard to put it out. It was a huge battle. So the second verse, Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita, Varitra Madhyan Manaso Rasina, Ramansha Kampasru Taranga Taranga Bajo, Vande Guru Sri Charanara Vindam. Chanting the holy names, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments, the spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind. Sometimes his hair stands on end, he feels quivering in his body, and tears flow from his eyes like waves. I offer my respectful obeisances into the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. In the early days, Prabhupada made a recording. None of us were very expert at playing any of the musical instruments. So Prabhupada played all the tracks. He dubbed over, he played along with himself, and he played the kartals, he played the mridanga, he played the harmonium, and he sang. So he did all of them. And if you can hear that, it's like out of this world when you hear. There was also a little section where they were trying to put Prabhupada in a room for him to give class and tape him giving class. And he didn't like it because he really liked to give class in front of an audience, so that particular project didn't go over really well. But when Prabhupada was chanting, doing his bhajan, he would go into such states of ecstasy. And just recently, just the past week, we received Prabhupada's Dulcitina harmonium that he played while he was in his quarters here as a donation from His Grace Tarankanti Prabhu. So we owe a very big debt of gratitude to Tarankanti Prabhu for donating this Dulcitina back to Srila Prabhupada's quarters. And not only did he just donate the Dulcitina, he had it completely restored to its former workability, its glory, as well as he could. He spent a lot of money to get it repaired and a lot of money sending it here safely. So I think maybe we'll all have put together a little thank you card to send to him, because we were really, Ashram Maharaj and I were very excited to see this harmonium arrive, and Ashram Maharaj tested it. And actually, a harmonium, it's required to play it a little, and there's a stipulation that we're not supposed to use the items of the spiritual master. But if we don't a little bit use it and get the bellows to breathe, it will actually be very not so good for it. So there'll have to be maybe like a monthly schedule of a little bhajan somehow or other, so that harmonium can be maintained nicely. Yes, I'm sure Ashram Maharaj is absolutely volunteering for that maintenance. So Srila Prabhupada, here's the part about him doing deity worship. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. He also engages his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances into the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. And I want to thank, we have Nagapatni and we have Narayani who kicked in and they're taking care of Panchatattva, which is so nice. It's so beautiful that we have these senior Vaishnavis here worshiping Panchatattva at the time that Vishwambar is unable to do so. It's Krishna's arrangement that we have their expertness in Pujari Seva. I think the Lord arranged everything. He is the Supreme Lord and he gets who he wants to take care of him. It's wonderful. So the next verse, the spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzed as that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavat Prasad, he is satisfied. I offer my respectful obeisances into the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. We are a kitchen religion. It's a very, very important part of our religion is offering of foodstuffs. And Srila Prabhupada has explained in the Upadeshamrita that there's 6 exchanges of love. And 2 of those are offering food to the person that you love and receiving food from the person you love. So it's a very big part of our spiritual practice to offer this. We offer food in love to Krishna, to the spiritual master, and he offers it to the lotus feet of the deity. Jai Shri Shri Panchatattva Ki Jai. The next verse, it says, the spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika and Madhava and their qualities, names, and forms. The spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment. I offer my respectful obeisances into the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So this is the confidential servitor of the Lord is the Guru. He is always making beautiful arrangements for the deities and for the Radha and Krishna to come together. Here in Hawaii, Srila Prabhupada brought little tiny, about this big Radha Krishna deities. They fit in a typewriter case, and they were to be the first deities installed here. We're actually not knowing exactly where they have gone to, but I keep putting out like a call for them to come back, because at some point they were lost. We don't know where they went to. But these beautiful little Radha Krishna deities were brought by Srila Prabhupada personally. So he's always making arrangements. But here, after analyzing the situation for some time, he decided that it would be best for us to install Panchatattva, because this is such a relaxed place, and he didn't want us to make any offenses. So the next verse, it says, the spiritual master is very dear because he is expert in assisting the gopis, who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavan. I offer my most humble obeisances into the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. And the next verse is, the spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord, because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances into the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Sri Hare Krishna. And the final verse in this beautiful Guru Vastakam is Yasya Prasad, Bhagavata Prasado, Yasya Prasadam Nagatikatopi, Dayam Stuvam Jasya, Yasyasya Sri Sandhyam, Vande Guru Sri Charanadavindam. I'm not used to saying it, I'm used to singing it. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master at least 3 times a day. I should offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. We're so fortunate to be living right here in this Srila Prabhupada Memorial Tirtha. So many devotees come here and they can feel Srila Prabhupada. They can feel his presence here. We're so very, very lucky to be living in this most auspicious place. All glories to his divine loving grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Are there any questions or comments? Yes?
You said the word vak. What does vak mean?
Vak is speech. It's a siddhi. Vak siddhi is this. It is a mystic power that whatever you say comes true. Prabhupada said if you take cold bath every single morning, attend Mangal Artik, and chant 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles for 12 years, you will attain Vak Siddhi. The siddhi of whatever you say will come true. So we have to be very careful with our words. We have to be very careful. So we have to be very careful to practice the sadhana bhakti process quite carefully, quite nicely. Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj.
There's a 9th verse, Paul's
Yes.
Perhaps because we sang it, we didn't start out having, singing the Gurvashtakam at Mangalarti at 4:30 in the morning, because we weren't going to Mangalarti at 4:30.
Yes, we weren't. There was no Mangalarti.
One person in the temple going to Mangalarti until sometime in the summer of 1970. But there is a 9th verse of Paul's speaking. Now, out of context, I don't know. Srimad Guru Ashtakam Eturu Chai Brahme Mahurte Patiti Prayatna Yasthena Vrindavana Nata Sakshat Seva Evagyajan Shampayeva. So this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur telling what is the fruit of singing this song. And it's like a blessing that he gives. He said, Srimad Guru Ashtakam Eturu Chai Brahme Mahurte Patiti Prayatna. That if we sing these 8 beautiful verses glorifying the spiritual master regularly during the Brahma Muhurta, we will certainly direct service to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna and the girls of Vrindavan.
Wow. How ecstatic. Wonderful. Thank you for that.
That's one of the benefits of my being late for Nabadwip. When I go back to my hut, I put that in my squeeze box and sing it, and I get to have that verse.
Very good. Jayo. Anything else? Hare Krishna. Glorious to Srila Prabhupada.